Paddock RallyCast. This is episode 48. Already? Yep, we've got a twofer publishing this week. This time, we called up our good friends, Cameron, Steely, and Preston Osborn of O.D.D Racing. O.D.D has become one of the preeminent rally teams in America, highlighted by their amazing two-wheel drive Rally America Championship back in 2016. And they are starting off 2019 with a bang, having just won their limited four-wheel drive class at Sno Drift a week ago. We really enjoyed sharing lots of laughs with two of the most fun characters in rallying. Apologies in advance as some of the audio from Cameron's cell phone drops in and out at times, but we think you'll get the gist of what Hollywood is saying anyway. This is Open Paddock, the RallyCast. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Open Paddock RallyCast. I'm your host, Mike Shaw, and with me is our co-presenter, icicle, shivering to stay warm, Ian Holmes. Ian, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm shivering. Yes, it was minus 33 this morning out on the prairie. So yeah, I've done well. I did go out and do the cliched throwing the boiling water in the air and watching it turn to snow. But other than that, I stayed warm in the house all day. I've been doing some research. I've been watching videos on our special guests. I've been watching their in-car videos and stuff like that. So looking forward to chatting to them about it.
Well, let's get on with it then. We have our guests this evening are Preston Osborn and Cameron Steely of O.D.D Racing. So excited to have you guys both on the show. Just first of all, how are you guys both doing? Cameron, let's start with you.
I'm doing great. Yeah, we just got back from Sno Drift. We had a pretty good time there. You know, got second overall in first class. So, yeah, feeling pretty good about myself right now.
Awesome. What about you, Preston? How are things back at the shop?
They're good. You know, Mike and Ian, thanks for having us on. You know, we just got back to work, gave the guys a couple of days off after Sno Drift, more to probably thaw out than anything. But, you know, it's on to the next race.
Well, you know, that's Ian is in the deep freeze right now, so where you guys at are considered nice and warm.
Oh, geez. Ian, where are you based out of?
I'm on the prairies of Minnesota, where it was a balmy minus 33 this morning.
Oh gosh, yeah. We're back in Denver, all of 50 degrees today, so it feels tropic here.
I was just checking the National Weather Service wind chill figures. And for the town just down the road that has the weather station, the wind chill was minus 50.
Oh man, that's brutal.
So yeah, I stayed in the house all day.
I was gonna say I wouldn't go anywhere. I thought it was down. It was negative 28 out at Sno Drift in Michigan. I was sitting in the carnival with the heater full crank.
Yeah, that's my rule for Sno Drift. I tell Led or crew chief that, you know, okay, sort out the car as much as you can, but as long as we've got 4 mostly round tires and 1 working heater, then I'm happy to go.
Awesome. Well, before we get into Sno Drift, since you guys are new on the show, you know, one thing we always want to get is a little bit of a background on how you guys got started in rallying. So, Cameron, let's start with you. How did you get bit by the rally bug?
So when I was younger, I always wanted to be like a race car driver or a professional basketball player or some type of pro athlete. And I started watching a little bit of rally when I was younger, but really didn't pay too close attention, but kind of liked it, but wasn't sure. I was more into like the mainstream, like basketball and baseball. And then I bought my first Subaru in 2007, and I really started paying more attention to, rally in America, WRC, because Subaru was big in WRC at the time. And so I really started paying attention to that. And, Kim Block had come out with the Gymkhana videos. And I was a big fan of Travis Pastrana, and he was starting to rally race. And I really liked what they were doing. And I looked up to those guys, and I was like, oh, man, this looks like a lot of fun. I think I could do this. And, being a Subaru guy, I was like, oh, yeah, all-wheel drive, that's easy. And messing around, gravel roads and stuff. And so I eventually kept bugging my parents, like, hey, send me to rally school. I want to learn how to do this. So I eventually convinced them to help me out. They sent me to rally school at Team O'Neill. I learned how to drive out there. Found out I was pretty good, naturally gifted, talking to some of the instructors that said, if you can keep it on the road, keep this pace and build from there, you can eventually, be a decent driver. And I was like, all right, cool. And my parents still weren't quite convinced because I needed their help, the support of the sponsors because it's really expensive. And so I convinced my parents to send me back, and I got my dad to do the class with me this time. And once he started, he got in the car, he was hooked. And he was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. This is going to be awesome. This will be a lot of fun. And so, it just went from there. We got an entry-level two-wheel drive car and started there. It was just me and my buddy and my dad, and we started going to races and started slowly getting faster. But, I was a little too big for my head and was wrecking a lot. And I needed to calm down, slow down. I got a different co-driver to kind of help me out a little bit, learn some stuff from him. And then I met Preston through rally racing, and meeting him, we just kind of clicked right off the bat. We got along really well, which is huge because in rally, we spend like 70 days at least together a year, which is a long time to spend with someone if you don't like. And I really like him. He gets me. I get him. We work really well together. And then we just slowly built the team from there. And then we got like Fast Eddie as mechanic. And we picked up Ronnie and then Danny. And we've just slowly built the team from there. And yeah, I've been hooked ever since and never want to give it up. I'm hoping when I'm 60, I can still be one of those, rally enthusiasts going out there trying to do something.
Well, that's awesome. Hooking your dad to help convince him. That's good. I like that. Take dad to the rally school.
That's the way to get started, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. Convince him.
Well, and if you know Rod, he is so enthusiastic about rally, too. He loves the sport, and he won't get in the car with Cam now just because I think he's a little too fast to keep him comfortable. But he still loves coming to the races. You'll see him in most of them.
Well, what about you, Preston? You guys met at a rally, but you obviously have some rally background before that.
Sure. Mine's not nearly as interesting being a co-driver. Of course, we're known to be a little bit geekier than the drivers. And so I actually first found rally through video games, believe it or not. I loved playing racing games when I was a kid growing up. And I came across, I don't remember if it was Sega Rally or Colin McRae Rally first. But I was like, oh my gosh, this type of driving is really cool. You're sideways, throwing big rooster tails at dirt or snow or whatever it is. And so that's how I found out about rally. And then, of course, I'm an internet kid, so start searching for rally and find WRC and start watching a ton of videos. And like a lot of people my age, Colin McRae, of course, was a big influence just because he was that big personality. But got interested in it, started doing rally crosses here in Colorado. And things like that. And actually one of the guys that I met through Rallycross, his name is Andy Kingsley. He wanted to start doing stage rally and needed a guy to co-drive for him. And he may or may not have been sleeping on my couch at the time, which is probably why he could afford a rally car. But we bought a little POS 1991 Honda Civic hatchback that's still floating out there somewhere in the rally world. And we just beat the crap out of it in a few races, and like the Browns, I did start out doing some of the hill climbs, and honestly, I learned how to co-drive. We would go out to some of the back roads and back mountain roads here in Colorado, and we would just find a stretch of road that was pretty deserted, write notes for it, and so that's how I learned how to drive or how to co-drive for it. And a lot of people ask, oh, don't you get sick reading notes? And I joked that growing up, I was trained as a co-driver because we did a lot of road trips as our vacations growing up, and I love to read. So I would sit in the back seat and read while we're on these windy mountain roads, and I used to get really sick doing it, but apparently they must have been good books because I would kind of read through it, and eventually I got over it.
Wow, a lot of parallels there. I similarly... being obviously from a mountainous area over here.
Yeah. Lots
of road trips, obviously camping was a family thing and stuff like that. And reading in the car and then also with the video game stuff. One thing that it really hit me with the video games is like, this is an environment that looks like where I grew up, versus circuit racing stuff or usually these tropical places or whatever, usually good weather. But you got rain and you got all this, these mountains and things like that. I'm like, this looks like where I live, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt that connection more, I think, with rally right away. That, and you're not run off the road by somebody else. And
that's true. You don't have to worry about the other people.
Exactly.
That's why Cameron doesn't like to race me on the go-kart track. But,
yeah, he'll take me out. He's like, boom. I'm like, hey, he's racing. I was like, yeah, but come on.
If I remember correctly, you're usually the one trying to take me out because you can't keep up.
Yeah. But... He's actually a better go-kart driver than I am. Yeah. I always try and take him out. So whenever I get a chance, I try and either pit maneuver him or T-bone him when he's in a corner.
Oh, love that you guys take little jabs at each other. That's great.
Hey, we're still competitive. That's how it has to be. If we're in the car, it works great. When we're against each other, it's a different story.
Nice.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. That's also another draw to rally for me is the conditions. Is that to me it was the driver had to be the most disciplined at everything. He couldn't just go away at being good at tarmac or gravel or snow or ice. He had to be good at all of them, and that's what really got me interested into it, is because you do race in sun, rain, snow, sleet, doesn't matter, mud, all those conditions, and that's what I really do enjoy about it, is because you have to be good at all disciplines of racing. And I know I struggle at some more than others, but that's what I like about that. It's a challenge of it's never the same, and even when you are on the same roads, conditions are different. Is it slippy? Is it hero dirt where it's just a little bit damp, so you get that extra grip? Is it really rocky and pebbly, and you surface? And I think that's what really likes me, is because it's ever changing, and I like that. It keeps me interested instead of doing the same corner over and over and over again and trying to perfect it. Now I kind of have like a little thing of trying to perfect every little corner, but they're always different and it's always changing, so I'm always having to stay on my toes, which I really enjoy.
So Cam and I first met, I was still racing with Andy at OTR, as a matter of fact, and we had broken a transmission on Ketchum when we used to run the Fur Mountain stages. Cam he may or may not have rolled after the finish line on a stage, and so we were replacing a transmission, and him and his dad were trying to fit I think it was a Subaru Legacy windshield to a Focus, because that was correct. The closest thing they had to a size to fit their car. So they're just gooping on the windshield, sealant, and we're trying to replace the transmission by flashlights, and that's how I met Cameron.
Yep, working on our cars in the parking lot, and yeah, I think our windshield was sticking over the part of the roof by at least a couple inches. So
yeah.
We definitely had some duct tape on it by the end of it, and then we had like cardboard in the back windows, and duct tape, and yeah, it was quite a little bit.
So, next question though is ODD Racing. We were kind of wondering, that's an odd name. Where did that come from?
So a lot of my dad owns his own trucking company, and a lot of the drivers know me pretty well, and they like to give me a hard time. And they were giving me a hard time about racing, and because my dad pays for most of it. Actually, he pays for all of it. Let me not lie. And one of the drivers was like, you guys are all a bunch, and your dad pays for it. He's like, well, let's call this On Dad's Dime. And I was like, oh, perfect.
On Dad's Dime.
That is what ODD stands for, is On Dad's Dime.
That is brilliant. I love it.
And by drivers, he was talking about, the drivers of his dad's trucking company.
Sure.
Because, of course, it's a small business, so everyone's really close, and they got to pick on the kid.
Yeah. And so they were picking on me, and I was like, you know what? And I just went with it. They were making fun of me. I was like, no, that's actually a great name. I love it. And it fits our team perfectly, because you look at it as we're all from like a different background, and we're all a little different, a little quirky in our own ways. And so we're kind of an odd team. And then my dad pays for everything, so it is On Dad's time.
Well, so you guys built up this team over time. You're mentioning that a little bit earlier. You guys now actually build race cars, not just for yourselves, but for other teams. You guys have done, modifications for other people or whatever. I mean, how many race cars is ODD built now?
Sure. We're a full motorsport fabrication shop at this point. So, we've built R2s, R1s, of course, RSTs, and the RS we're working on. As far as the number of cars that we've built, Ed McNelly, our crew chief, he's built probably, honestly, at this point, 15 plus Fiestas to be rally cars. And for ODD specifically, I think we've built 7 or 8.
Wow.
So it's a lot of rally cars coming out of our kind of humble little shop in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. And it's some pretty cool stuff that he can put out. When I first got involved with the team, and seeing the first car that he actually built for us, it was so neat to see how customized it is, say, for Cameron as the driver. That car is built around him. So everything is in a specific place for him. And we just finished another ST build for a customer who's actually going to be debuting it at 100 Acres. So we're pretty excited about that. We're doing some testing a few weeks ago with him. And same thing, that car was built for him. And he actually comes from the desert racing world where, I mean, everything's kind of cookie cutter. He's got a trophy truck, and that was built from a kit. And so he didn't realize why we needed him to actually fit the seat and where we need to position the seat. That was kind of foreign to him. So you know, I've only been full-time with the team since August, but even in that time, seeing the type of work that Ed's putting out is really cool to be involved with.
It really is. It's amazing because, like, as a driver, I didn't realize how nice it was to have a customized car, because then when I drive the Fiesta, it was built for me, and now we're in the Subaru right now, and that Subaru feels foreign. Like, I make it work, but it's not as nice. Like, I'm a little bit closer to the steering wheel. The cage is a little bit closer, so I can't sit as far back. I'm a little bit higher up. You know, it's amazing how those little things and those details just make you feel that much more comfortable in a car when you're just where you sit. And I also didn't realize that first either until I got the custom cars that Ed built for me.
And I'm guessing comfort builds confidence.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the more comfortable I am in the car, and just also for a safety standpoint for me, is because I am a pretty tall guy. I'm like 6'4". So when I have a seat and I can't really get in and out of the car because of the cage, because I'm sitting so close, you know, if we have a big accident, I like it when we have the custom car, because then I can get in and out of the car a lot easier, which makes me feel a lot more comfortable, and it's a lot safer.
Yeah. So what prompted the leap from being a rally team and then becoming a full on, like you say, race car workshop?
Well, so Ed has a really great reputation within the rally community. You know, he was the lead kind of builder and fabricator at Team O'Neill for a number of years. And so he started working with us as ODD, and, you know, built our first ST, and then you saw people see those cars and went, holy cow, that's pretty cool. You know, how do we get one of those? And after a lot of kind of going back and forth, it turned out to, well, why don't we build it for you? And, you know, we're still taking steps and working through some growing pains, just because like this ST that we just built, a lot of people don't realize, but that had about 900 to 1,000 man hours into it. Wow. You know, you see a lot of these used cars, and something I talk about all the time is everyone has a budget, and obviously we work with kind of the higher end of the budget, but we can build a car for $10,000. We can build a car for $100,000, but it's really that pinnacle car that we want to push, just because, I mean, it is so much nicer than, you know, buying that used car that's been run and beat to death. And then even this Subaru that we have right now, as we've owned it, we are working through so many problems just to get the car to work the way we need it to. You know, as everyone knows, we've blown a couple of engines in it, and a lot of what we found is, there's sensors that are active in the tune that aren't actually reading anything, or, you know, this isn't calibrated correctly. So it's been a lot of undoing things that have been done incorrectly just to make it work. And you know, it's tough when you do that. So as people came to us and asked us to build it, you know, we decided, yeah, why don't we start doing this? And here we are.
Awesome. Well,
and funny story about the Subaru. I'm sorry. I was going to say funny story about the Subaru is that actually one of the motors in it was actually from my daily driver STI that we stole out to do Oregon Trail last year. And Ed called me up last minute, and he's like, so how bad do you want to race? And I was like, oh, great, what? And this was, you know, we were about to like fly out later that day or the next day. And I was like, well, I really want to race. He's like, well, you didn't get the parts in. They shipped the wrong parts. Can I steal the motor from your car? And I was like, oh, no.
What they didn't tell them is the engine may have already been on the hoist at that point.
I was like, so I said, okay, I guess. And then I go out to the shop before we're about to fly, and they're just in there just crying this engine out, and I'm just like, oh my god, my poor baby car. But laughing. And Ed's like, oh, I was like, he just has this like evil laugh about it. He's just like loving tearing, because he knows that's like my baby. That's like my first real car, and I'm like, oh, my poor car, and he's just laughing. And but yeah, so that was one of the motors in that car is off my daily driver. They're almost done putting it.
This is not the first time we've heard the tale of, oh, that's my daily driver engine got transplanted into the race car.
Seems to happen more often than all of us want to admit, doesn't
it? Yeah.
Indeed. Well, I want to do a little bit of a flashback with you guys. 2016 season. You guys won the Rally America Championship, if I remember correctly.
For two-wheel drive, yes.
Yes, for two-wheel drive, and a very hotly contested championship. I'd almost say that season to me was like watching the WRC today, in that you didn't know who was going to win between you guys and Ryan Millen.
Yeah, that was an awesome year. That was, so far, my favorite year of rallying. We come into that year, and Ryan is a great driver. He's a good friend of mine, and it's one of those things where I hate losing to him more than anyone, but if I have to lose to someone, I'd rather have it be him than anyone else. And so coming into that season, it was just hotly contested, back and forth, and he pushed me to be a better driver. I felt like I pushed him to be a better driver. I progressed the most that year, and I had to be more consistent. I had to keep the car on the road. And then I feel like I grew maturity with my racing too, where I realized that I don't have to necessarily always win the race. I just have to make sure I'm there at the end and I place high so I can win a championship. Because we went into Ojibwe and we had a little bit of a lead, and there was a little bit of battle, and I made this big push because I wasn't driving very well that weekend. And then at the end, I was like, all right, we can make a push. I started making a push. And I was like, all right, we got him. And then I ended up losing it, spun out. And I didn't have enough stage miles, I felt, to make up the time. So I said, hey, let's settle for second. Let's take this fight to LSPR where I feel comfortable and I can, really push there, because I don't want to. There's no risk and there's no reward to try and make up this much time with these sort of stage miles. So I backed off, made sure we kept the car healthy for LSPR, and we went to LSPR tied. And I knew when we went to LSPR that I would just go for it, and I knew I could get him at LSPR. I love those roads. I felt comfortable, and I just felt like that was a great year because I grew up maturity. I became more consistent, and Ryan was a big part of that because that rivalry, and it was awesome, and it was fun because I like to joke a lot, and him and I would banter back and forth, jab each other, and just like make comments, and it was great. I loved it, and I would not have it any other way. I love having that competitiveness, but at the end of the day, we can hug it out and still be friends.
Yeah, and I want to share a story about LSPR. So that season, like Cam said, it was winner take all for that last race, and so Cam and I kind of went into that weekend going, we either get first or we crash. And that was pretty much a very realistic possibility because it was going to be who blinked first. And so, we did testing beforehand and the car was working great, no issues. And like Cam said, he loves those LSPR roads. So we're ready to attack. And the first day, Friday, people who've run LSPR know that it starts a little bit later in the day. And so I'm going to pick on Ed here for a second, but he wanted to make sure that our car was perfect, ready to go that morning. So they were realigning it, and he went to take it on a test drive and actually crashed it the Friday morning of the race. And so we had to replace, the bumper was damaged, but the big issue is we broke a control arm. We bent a tie rod end. And so they had to scramble and actually replace all of those things an hour before we were supposed to start Friday morning. And so Cam and I walk out of the hotel, again, it's a late start to the day. So we're just kind of kicking around in the room. So we come out and we go, why is there 3 people underneath our race car?
No. And then your stress level hits the roof.
Oh yeah. So Ed crashed the car, so we didn't have to.
Yeah. Gosh. I can imagine, you're relaxed. You know this is your event. You feel confident, and then you see that.
Yeah. And so we okay, everything gets back together. Car's great. I think Ed probably cried a little bit in the trailer after we left, but we went out and I think we put almost 30 seconds on Ryan in the first leg. And as you mentioned, Mike, it was close battling the whole season. I think there was races where we were split by less than 10 seconds after the entire length of the race. So to have that amount of time in the first
you'd
leg.
win one stage and they'd win another one, and it was back and forth. And I know that happened at OTR that year.
Yeah,
it did. Just crazy awesome. I think he caught you guys on the Dalles Mountain climb up.
Yeah.
But
he put big time on us then. Cam had struggled on that stage. It was some loose conditions where we didn't expect it. And so I think it kind of caught him off and just made him, we talk about being comfortable in a race car, and he just wasn't comfortable on that stage. And Ryan knew it, so he pushed really hard on it.
What a great season. But, you guys ended up prevailing the very next year in ARA, the first year of ARA. Ryan got his championship. So you guys are kind of both equal on championships there, so that's good.
Yep. Yeah, that was great. And it's like I said, it's great to see Ryan win that. I mean, I'm super happy for him. I know we were trying to steal it from him that year, but we had a lot of mechanical issues because I was like, I don't want him to win one.
Right. So we get into this year. Let's go back to just more recent happenings. Just this last weekend, it's 2019. We have the American Rally Association National Rally Championship, as they've named it now. So now I got
it's a mouthful, huh?
Yeah, right. Gotta untwist my tongue from what I used to say. But round one, Sno Drift, now part of ARA. All these rounds are now part of ARA that you guys are familiar with and you've ran in previous championships. Are you excited about having such a large championship to be able to contest?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm awesome to have everyone kind of back together again, everyone competing together, because I enjoy the challenge of having more competition. And I felt the last year it was kind of split, and like some people were doing this, some people were doing that. And now this year, I think we're all kind of back together, and it's great because, in America, it is kind of a smaller it's not a mainstream sport, it's small, and so it's good to have those competitors there, and I really enjoy it, and it allows me to race the best drivers out here, which I enjoy because I am a competitive person, and I want to beat the best. I don't want to win against nobody. I want to compete against the best. I want to do well against the best, and if I don't, then I know I need to step my game up, and that's why I'm really excited this year to be racing against a lot of really fast guys and everyone again.
Yeah, I think having the championship all back together, like Cam, I think it really brings the competition level up, and it just makes it all kind of under one roof and one rule set you have to worry about. One set of licenses you have to buy. So it's good. I think the split worked okay to help grow the sport, just because we did get a couple of new races out of it, like Southern Ohio, which we're competing in this year, and that's a fantastic race if anyone could make it to that one. Colorado's still up and coming too as a race, so there were positives that came out of the split, but I think coming back together this year is going to be a really good thing for everyone.
Yeah, I'm excited to be able to be at more of it. I'm sorry I wasn't at Sno Drift, but then again, due to technical difficulties, apparently there's no live streaming. So
yeah, they were telling us that their cameras were freezing. They could only have the batteries going for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I believe it. I believe it. We were on the podium without any jackets on, and I think that's an error in judgment by my driver there. But
yes, I would agree. I was questioning that thought process when we were sitting up there. I was like, oh, man. And then Patella had a little bit longer speech than I expected, and I was like, this is our second podium in a row, and I was like, come on, Patella, hurry up.
Shut up, dude, we're cold.
Yeah, race suits don't keep you as warm as you think they do sometimes, do they?
No, especially we have the nice thin ones, which are great at all the warm races, but not so much at this one.
No. So I was dancing up on that podium pretty good and blowing in my hands, covering my ears. Yeah. My second speech was, it's cold, let's go. I just want to get out of there as quick as possible.
Well, we mentioned in our opener that you guys did end up winning your class, the limited four-wheel drive at Sno Drift. But give us an overview. How did Sno Drift go? What are some highlights of challenges and successes for that event this last weekend?
So Sno Drift has always been kind of a challenging race for me because like snow and ice, I can drive on it well, but I'm not very comfortable, and I don't as well as other people. Like some people are just really good at it. I'm more of a gravel guy, so I've always felt on edge and uncomfortable. So for me, it's a tough race, but I still enjoy it because it makes me a lot better driver. It makes me be more patient. Makes me have better car control and be a lot smoother. So I came into this race saying, all right, I want to go a quick, steady pace. And Sno Drift is one of those where if you're fast and quick, but you don't push too hard and don't get stuck, you do well. And so that was my goal, was to keep it in the center of the road. Try not to use the snowbanks too much because I don't want to get stuck. And that was my biggest goal, is keep it in the center of the road and keep a good, constant, steady pace. And I felt that's what we accomplished because I ended up not stuffing into any snowbanks too hard where we got stuck. So I was pretty happy with the drive. I got a lot more comfortable being slow days. Kind of got my patience. I had to be patient because I'm so used to being a really aggressive driver, hard braking, hard gas. I have to kind of feather the gas a little bit, ease on the brake a little bit more. And yeah, so it was a tough rally, but I felt I grew a lot, and it was a lot of fun. This was the first Sno Drift I really enjoyed, even though it was freezing outside, because it was actually fun because I was like, it finally started clicking in my head how to drive. Even though we've had success there in two-wheel drive, winning it before, but it just was so much nicer in the all-wheel drive too, because I was like, oh man, I'm not on pins and needles or eggshells trying to get through this corner in a two-wheel drive car.
So Preston, did you help with the notes wise, trying to keep that pace, kind of slowed down for him, so that way, he wouldn't be overly aggressive as well?
Sure. The pacing of the notes on a snow and ice rally is it's strange, and it does kind of put me out of the comfort level too, because, I'm used to Cam's pace on gravel, which is very, very fast. And so notes come pretty early and they come pretty quick. Whereas on snow, the notes still have to come early, just since your braking zones and your points are extended, but I mean, they can't come fast. And so it's very easy to get ahead of the driver in notes. And we've worked a lot on notes in the last couple of years. We're writing our own notes as much as we can. And a big side effect of that, and of course a positive, is we've worked really hard on adding braking points and slowing corners. Just that way it makes it a no-brainer for Cam. When he hears the slowing right 5, he knows, hey, I should probably be slowing in this. There must be something slower afterwards. Or braking crest, he knows, hey, I can probably stay full throttle up to that braking crest, and then that's when you got to worry about what's coming after it. So, spending that extra time on recce and making sure that you have the notes dialed in with those braking points is beneficial. The struggle we have now is going from a two-wheel drive car, which a lot of our notes are based on, to a four-wheel drive car. Well, those braking points change. And I think there's even a couple this weekend where the notes called and it's like, oh, well, that might have been a little bit optimistic there. It's a good thing you were slowing down beforehand. But really no drama on my side of the car, which is great. Those are the weekends that I love, is when I don't have to worry about it, especially Sno Drift, because the rule in our car is Cam's a spoiled race car driver, and I don't want his feet to get wet. So if we're stuck, I'm the one digging. Yeah, I wear boots and spikes for this race, and that's the only race that I do. So I'm thankful for him keeping us out of those banks.
My feet get cold really quick.
But no, you guys, I watched a couple of the videos from the in-car videos from Sno Drift this morning, being stuck in the house,
sure,
with the minus 30 temperatures outside, and you guys certainly seem pretty relaxed working together. I mean, I know you were talking about the delivery of the notes, and I noticed there was when you were wanting him to slow down, there was a definite emphasis and the delivery of you really kind of would drag out the word caution or to get him
or slow or long.
Yeah.
You hear me extend a lot too. No, I think it's really important as a co-driver where I want to say as much with my emphasis as I do with the actual words. So that even if Cam doesn't necessarily hear exactly when I say long, he hears that drawn out emphasis, and so he kind of gets the gist from it. And I think it's critical as a co-driver that you're trying to give the driver so much information in a short period of time that any way you can help him process it is important. And that's one of those tricks that I learned, fortunately, pretty early on in my career that has seemed to be helpful. Cam will be able to tell you whether it is or isn't, but at least for my seat, it seems.
Yeah, no, it really does help, and I like the emphasis because it's, sometimes when he's rattling off all the notes and I'm listening, and then I hear a little bit drawn out thing, I'm like, oh, I really need to pay attention to this because there's something very important coming up, and it's something that can call us out, like, it could be a really big incident or something important. So that's why I really do enjoy the emphasis. And I always tell them, like, also don't be afraid to yell at me if I'm coming in too hot to like, all right, I'm trying to take a 6 speed. So.
Well, and you mentioned keeping it relaxed in the car. At the end of the day, the number one thing that Cam and I want to do is have fun. Yes, this is a full-time career for me, but I wouldn't do it if I wasn't having fun in the car. And Cam also drives a lot better when he's relaxed. And so kind of keeping that atmosphere light in the car. And I'm sure like the Thunder River, what used to be Bonfire Alley stage, you can hear us having fun in the car because that's what we should be doing. When it's time to get down to business, yes, we have our job to do. But other than that, I mean, we're racing friggin' rally cars. How could you not have fun?
It's great. It really is. And that Bonfire Alley was, and we had such a comfortable lead, and so that was us just kind of relaxing and kind of taking a victory lap where we didn't have to push and just have a little fun. And and that's what I love. And like Preston said, I am a comfort guy. When I'm comfortable, I drive really well. When I'm not comfortable, I'm not as good. And that's why that's why I try and keep it fun and light in the car. And we laugh and we joke and we have good times. And there's some great times in the car where, like, Concord Pond, where I'm like yelling like, "Oh, that was amazing!" He's like, he's in the car like, "Did you see that? We just launched that jump." And he's like, "No, I'm in the car with you."
Actually, Oregon last year on Boyd's Loop, I think we were third furthest off of the jump in our little STI, and Cam is literally hitting me on the knee after we landed that jump, and I'm like, dude, this is a Red 3 coming up, like, pay attention.
I just get so excited. I'm like, that was so cool. I'm like hitting, like, I have him hitting on the leg, and I'm just like trying to laugh and like see that? It's like, well, yeah, of course you saw it, but I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, he's in the car. Because I do. I love that stuff, and it's so much fun. And yeah, you'll hear us laugh or giggle, or you gotta keep it lighthearted. Because like Preston said, we're out here to have fun. Yeah, we want to be competitive because we're all competitive people. But first thing is have fun. And when we have fun, that's when we're competitive too. Because when we get frustrated, sometimes when I get frustrated, I should say, I overdrive, and then it's not as much fun because then we're not going as fast. And so, yeah, keep that relaxed feel in the car, and that makes it great.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I'm just a beginner. I've been doing it three years, but I still am a beginner co-driver, and I was listening to you dragging out the words, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a good idea. I will make note of that. So I'm probably going to try that 100-acre wood. We'll see what.
Yeah.
Talk there about Bonfire Rally. You talk there about Bonfire Rally, and we anytime we talk about Sno Drift, I think we've really got to put out do a big shout out, a thank you to the fans and the volunteers who stood there in freezing cold temperatures to cheer you guys on.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you couldn't even make it outside today, and not that I'm calling you out, I don't blame you at all, but, they're standing out there in the woods watching us come by, and it's humbling sometimes. I look at the amount of people that come out to these events, and we run into fans all the time at these races, and you kind of got to take a step back and go, who are we? We're nothing special, but these people are coming out to watch us, so let's put on a show.
No, I agree, and the fans and the volunteers too. I mean, yeah, these guys don't get paid. They're out there freezing, their butts off, and it's like, thank you. Without them, we wouldn't get to do. I wouldn't get to be a spoiled race car driver and sit in my nice warm car and make all these nice tracks. I do appreciate it, and yet.
I was going to say, you do realize that from now on, every time I see you, I'm just going to say spoiled race car driver, right?
Oh, please do it. Please do it. Somebody has to bring him down a little bit. I've got to build him up, so I can't bring him down. That way he has the confidence in the car.
I'm okay with it. That's a good thing. I'm okay with that. I mean, talking about the Hollywood story and my nickname and all that.
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Cam's nickname is Hollywood within the rally community.
Nice.
Well, I did see that on the website. I thought, well, there must be a story behind that. So yeah, go ahead. What is the story?
Well, how I got it, I'll tell you how I got it, and then I'll let Preston tell you about Southern Ohio, because that's a good one too. So how I got it, we were headed down to a regional rally. I think it was Arizona or something like that, and we were joking around. We started talking about Top Gun, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like Maverick. I was like, no, I'm Iceman because I'm cool and collective and just badass. Like, no, you're Hollywood because you're a spoiled race car driver, you're a prima donna, you do this, you got this, you fly into races. And I was like, no, I don't want to be Hollywood. I don't want to be Hollywood. I'm trying to fight it. And I was like, dang it. And so then they just started calling me that. And I was like, I hate you guys. And then I was like, I just got to own it. And I was like, I'm kind of Hollywood. I show up, I wear my shades, flat bill hat, I talk, I have a persona, I joke all the time, and fly the races, the crew drives there. I'm just a monkey with a steering wheel. All I do is show up and drive. I don't really have to do anything. So I was like, yeah, I just based out of Hollywood.
Yeah. So yeah, we were at Southern Ohio. I think it was 2017, the first year there, and we had, of course, raced Ryan the whole year before, and the great thing we had with Ryan is there's a lot of just playful jabs back and forth, and of course Ryan would play up the Hollywood persona for Cam a little bit, and so it's just a lot of fun and kept things very casual. And we're at Southern Ohio fighting Seamus Burke, and his. I think that Escort's pretty cool. I still think it's the best sounding rally car out in North America right now. But so we were fighting with him, and I think we went into day 2 within 10 seconds or 15 seconds of each other. And so they're interviewing us.
7 or 11.
Yeah, it was pretty close, but they were interviewing us at Park Expose, and they had interviewed Seamus, and they come over to Cam and go, "Oh man, you're struggling to keep up with the old man. What's he doing that you're not?" And without missing a beat, Cam goes, well, he's getting pretty old, so I don't think he has much to live for anymore. And the whole crowd just goes silent, and all of us, me and the ODD crew are like, oh my God, Cam, what did you just say? And of course it was trying to be in jest, but and Seamus and Martin came over and were laughing about it, but I don't think Joseph Burke took too kindly to it.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Well, and it was all Preston's fault because he set me up, and the guy's coming over doing interviews, and he's on the last.
Of course, it's my fault.
He's talking to Preston first. Yeah, well, you stuck my driver, Hollywood over here. And then
Like, so we had to play up to Hollywood.
And then I was like, I gotta play Hollywood. So then I was like, I'm playing up my persona, and he's going. He's like, well, what's going on? I was like, well, yeah, I'm using this middle brake. I'm using the brake pedal too much, and I need to stop that off, a little more right pedal. And I was like, yeah, it's over here, like he's old, doesn't have this to live for. And I was like, right when I told him,
that was a mistake.
With the nicest compliment. Yeah, we followed up with a nice compliment, like, well, no, I'm just kidding. It was a fast car, but I said that, I was like, oh, great, I can't stop an hour. And then after that, he didn't lift, and I was like, oh, and then he started kind of putting more time on. I was like, oh, yeah, don't piss him off. Some people you can joke with. Some people it just makes you better. And I was like, oh, no, not to do that.
That old man just won the Open Two-Wheel Drive Championship in 2018. So yeah,
he did. Yeah. No, we have a lot of fun fighting with Seamus. It's one of those things that's so cool to watch because we did compete against him obviously in a few races and very, very different cars between his and our car. Of course, they're both Fords, but the drive wheel's a little different and the power power plant's a little different, and seeing the strengths of his car versus the strengths of our car, almost like what we had with Ryan in years past. We got to trade stage times with them, and those guys are a lot of fun to compete against.
Oh, yeah, and he's a very talented driver. I mean,
yeah,
awesome car. Like Preston said, sounds amazing, and it's fast. I mean, he's a proper driver too. And I mean, he has to handle that thing. I mean, that thing has to be handled with that kind of power. So I give him props every time he's out there. I love racing against him. He's a good character for the sport. His car is awesome, and yeah, they're great guys. So I do love racing against them.
Cool. So I had one last question about Sno Drift. I was watching your in-car videos this morning, and I saw at the end of the hood there, it looked like you had Formula One winglets on the front of the car, and then I got to the night stages, and it's the lights. I mean, those are some pretty cool looking lights. Those are. What are they? They seem like they have like a really good coverage, and are they specifically designed like that? Are they streamlined or something?
Sure. So that's actually the diode dynamics. A lot of guys have started to use them in the past year, and we've used HIDs or some combination of such for years past. And we're looking for a new lighting package for the cars that we're building. Just because the LEDs with the bars like that, they're a little bit easier to fab out mounts and everything, as opposed to us making fiberglass light pods. And they're pretty cool. The fogs are awesome, really good projection, really good width to them. And, the driving lights are kind of the distance lights. They seemed all right. It's kind of tough to tell in the snow. So I'll be curious to see how they work in 100 Acre, just with it being a high speed race. We're worried about outrunning them, but no, for the price they are and for the testing we've had with them so far, they seem to be working pretty good. And they're light and they use no power, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's true. They are super bright too, and that's just it. We just don't know how far they project, but they have gotten a lot better, and their diode units are a lot better than the ones we had on there previously. So it is going to be curious to see what they are like at 100 Acre Wood. But they did seem like the technology is getting better, so they are projecting further and further out. They're the brightest by far. I mean, if you're there, they light up the whole forest, and it's awesome because you can really see like what you're coming into, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's been a lot of the challenge with the LED-based stuff, right? It's like they can be really bright, but getting that projection farther down, getting that focus beam has been the hardest part for those guys. But
exactly,
they generate almost no heat, though, and almost very little electricity because they're only doing that one wavelength of light, right? They're not doing the whole spectrum.
Exactly.
So it's just such a more efficient way of doing it, but it's getting that focus beam, and or they need to make some sort of combination. These ones are focused, and these ones are more wide, or whatever, and put that in the mix and stuff.
Yeah. And we run the focus beam from Diode Dynamics, and so those have better projection. And like I said, verdict's kind of still out as far as how deep they go. Just with us being a faster car, we tend to outrun lights. And so years past, we actually ran an HID driving light and then an LED fog light, which worked out great. But from a car builder perspective, we're taking about 15 pounds off the nose of the car, which is either on the nose or on the tail. That's pretty much the worst place that you could have it. So it makes a difference in that.
Yeah, that's definitely a big difference. Wow, I didn't realize that the lighting mechanisms were that much heavier. But you've got also, when you've got a little bit more weight, right, for more of an HID light, you've got to then also have that mount be stronger because it is heavier. That adds to the weight, right? And it all kind of compounds. Yeah,
and you want a strong mount because another thing that can really distract a driver is if the lights are bouncing. Yep. You see that obviously any light has that kind of center hotspot, and if that hotspot's bouncing around, it's really obvious when you're looking up the road, and it can be distracting.
Well, let's talk about 2019. So starting off the season very well with a win at Sno Drift in your class, the open or the limited four-wheel drive class. So plans for the rest of 2019. If I remember correctly, you posted a schedule that seemed rather busy for ODD as a whole, not just for you guys, but for the whole team.
Yeah. Obviously we have our full rally schedule that I talked about on that live stream, but we have a customer doing Pikes Peak, and so we're excited to be racing that mountain again this year. Last year was the first year we did that with an Italian driver, and he's coming back for this year, so that's really cool. And then, as you mentioned before, we've got customer cars that we're building and then also servicing for. So we have Kiana that we maintain and we service her car, and she doesn't always go to the same races we do. Tracy Gardner, I know, is doing a couple of races that are different from our calendar. So fortunately, we've got the framework now and some hired guns, if you will, kind of all over the country so that we can get that good spread. But even just 824's race schedule is pretty ambitious. So we certainly hope for no incidents or no mechanical issues, or else it might end up a little too ambitious.
So what guaranteed events are you and Cameron doing then?
So guaranteed events, we're doing the full ARA national schedule. So,
Awesome.
100 acre. And Cameron's not doing Oregon, but we can talk about that in a minute. Olympus, and we're doing Southern Ohio, which of course is that super regional, however they're doing the points for that. STPR, LSPR, Ojibwe. New England, we're doing New England this year, which I know Cam's excited about. If we could run Concord Pond 8 times in a row, I think he'd be happy doing that and going home.
Yeah, pretty much. I always joked. I was like, yeah, we'll just go out for the one day, run Concord Pond. Once we get done and there's no more, then I'll call it a day.
Awesome.
Park the car, put it in the trailer, and off we go.
In general, if you're going to a rally this year in the American Rally Association Championship, you're going to see an ODD truck.
Very likely, yes. Even the regionals, again.
Exactly.
We're kind of going all over the place, and we're going to try and make it up to a couple of Canadian events this year.
Awesome.
We love the Canadian events, just the atmosphere around them, and the fan base up there is great. And, of course, they have a big volunteer base of people working the events. So those events are just a lot of fun, and so we don't prioritize those, but we always try and sneak them in the schedule when we can.
They're fun events, and it's pretty funny when we go to Canada every time and we fly in or even come across the border. The guys know what we're coming for. They're like, "Oh, what are you here for?" "Oh, we're here for this rally." Like, "Oh, cool. What car are you in?" They're asking us like the people at the border. I'm like, "Oh, that's no one in America knows what rally is." We go here and they're like, "What's rally?"
Yeah, you could be in the town of the rally going, "No, man, you guys got a lot of cars out here today."
So I'm going to ask about the Focus now. The Focus RS that you guys have been working on. I know it's a big project. I remember the one that Tim O'Neill was working on had some challenges. How's that build going? I know one of the big issues with that car is its funky electronics with the differentials and things like that. Have you guys pretty much just pulled that stuff out so that way and just put something else in so you don't have to deal with all that? Tell us a little bit about that build, at least what you can tell us.
Yeah, so the great news is we've got all of that figured out because we're throwing all of it away.
Yay! Smart move.
This car, the big difference between ours and Tim O'Neill's car is theirs, was pretty much a bolt-on production car. So bolt-on suspension and pretty much keeping as much factory as they could. And with the build we're putting together, we're trying to keep it within the limited open class, but we're building it to pretty much the limits of that class. So we are pulling the whole driveline out and putting a SEDEV driveline in,
Nice.
transfer case and rear differentials. So that'll be a very nice goodie for Cam to go back to the sequential, because I know he's missed that moving into the Subaru this last year. So engine wise, we're pretty much going to keep that factory at least for the first year, just since we'll have a lot of development and everything else. And so that one we don't need to tinker with a whole lot. And then we are going with a standalone setup. Actually going with the Bosch setup, so kind of stepping away from the Motec that a lot of the guys use, because Bosch has done the really high-end stuff before, but they've just kind of started stepping into kind of the mid-range for the standalone setup. So we're excited to start playing with that. Yeah.
Nice to have some competition, because I know Motec's been kind of the go-to for kind of the mid-region stuff.
Exactly, yeah, and we've got a glimpse into the desert race stuff with Fred Hatch, who is the customer we built that Fiesta for, and as as I mentioned before, he's big in the off-road world, and he said, "Oh yeah, everything's Motec. You either run factory or run Motec. There's pretty much no in between." So we're kind of trying something a little bit different and seeing if it can fit everything we want and see if we can do some development for them as well.
So I guess it is one of the ideas with this project that you guys will have kind of your own, like, again, where you could build Focus RSs into rally cars for others.
Yeah, no, I think long term that's definitely an option. As far as it being in a Focus, that is a question mark, just since Ford's not building them anymore.
Yeah, it's such a limited quantity.
Right? Yeah, and so we kind of have our eye on a couple other Ford products. So Cam's dad is a huge advocate for Ford. He loves U.S. companies, and they own pretty much all Ford trucks other than their rigs. So that's part of the reason why we have stayed with Ford as much as we have. So, maybe an EcoSport could be in our future. And the nice thing is that EcoSport, I don't know if people know this, but it's actually pretty much a Fiesta chassis. And as we've talked about already, I kind of have some experience with the Fiestas as a team. So
just a little bit, yeah. So the EcoSport, is that, I'm trying to remember is that like their real compact, small SUV thing?
Yeah, that's the car. So it's essentially a lifted Fiesta with independent rear suspension.
Well, you have previous competition in a small, SUV that did pretty well, and
yes, exactly.
Maybe this is one of the futures of rally, as manufacturers in the U.S. anyways stop making cars and decide that only trucks and SUVs are the way to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, it may come into that.
Cameron, you're going to say something?
I was going to say, it might be that, like you said, with here in America, we like our big cars and SUVs and trucks, and like you said, Ford's getting away from the car market, and it's going to be one of those like, well, what are we going to be able to use for a rally car? And so, the sport's always evolving because technology is always evolving, and the type of vehicle that we have to use, and the electronics trend, with the new technology too, everything's like a plug and play. So now we're a lot of builders are fighting the new technology. Like, how do you delete this? How do you delete this? So that way you can actually drive a rally car the proper way. So, as the technology changes, we have to change with it. And so that's also another challenge that our mechanics have to keep up with. So,
yeah, we even had an issue on the Fiestas that we built where we were having this weird code coming up in the system, and it was actually cutting throttle on Cam, and it took us forever to chase it down. And finally what we realized, because we run factory computers on those cars, that when Cam was pulling the e-brake to lock up the rear wheels, it was freaking out the systems. And it was going, oh my God, something is wrong, cut throttle, but it wasn't actually giving us a fault within any systems related to that.
Yeah, I guess that's probably one of the biggest challenges, and I guess to me when I was, we had Texas Dave Carpathian on the show. One of the things that they like about these side-by-sides that are starting to take over in a lot of forms of off-road motorsport is those are still simple, right?
Yeah.
Cars have become so technological, and the computers is the big part. They've got so many sensors. They can see when any wheel's slipping because, they want to make driving safe. Insurance companies like that as well. But when you're trying to make it into a race car, it's extremely difficult, right? And you guys have to always try and find ways to work around all those challenges.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. Car manufacturers build cars to stay on the road, and we're trying to take them off-road.
Fair point. But that's what makes it cool.
Yes, exactly.
Well, as we kind of wrap up here, congratulations on the start to the season. Excited to see you guys at so many events this year. Upset that you just said that you're not going to be at OTR, but I have my home event that I'm going to have a bit of a grudge, but that's okay.
The team will be there. Cameron is going to be overseas, but I might make an appearance in a car. We'll see.
Oh, there we go. Hoping to see
that. So it'll be a good thing. I'm doing a lifelong thing I've always wanted to do. I'm a big motorcycle guy, and I've always wanted to either race or go to the Alaman and watch the Alaman TT race.
TT?
And so
you're going to the TT?
Yeah, the TT. Yeah.
Okay, you're forgiven. You are officially forgiven. Just make sure you share many pictures and videos.
Well, and he's actually going with another rally guy, Ole Holter. So.
Oh yeah, Ole's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine and good drinking buddy, and he loves motorcycles. So I've done some motorcycle trips with him in California, and he went to Alaman a couple years ago, and he did it, and he said it was amazing. He's like, "You got to go with me," and he's like, "I'm going this year. You got to come with." I was like, "Sign me up!" So we're going out there for 18 days, doing like a 15-day like motorcycle trip around like Alaman and Ireland, and I'm really excited for it. I'll be on a motorcycle, watching motorcycle races, and I'm like, all right.
So are you like doing like my brother used to do whenever he went out to TT when he was younger? He pitched a tent by the side of the road and camped that way, or are you going to have a hotel?
Well, come on, we're talking Hollywood here.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Like some like hotels, some bed and breakfast places, and I'm not gonna be pitching no tent. I mean, come
on. Well, really looking forward to seeing you guys out at 100 Acre Wood and at other events this season. How can everybody follow ODD? And is there anyone else you guys like to thank other than dear old Dad?
Let's see. I would like to thank, well, my mom, of course. Because without her budgeting really well, wouldn't be possible either. I'd like to thank, Ed for working on the car, Ed McNally, Ronnie Porter, and Danny Grant. They're both mechanics at our shop, and they keep the cars going, which I'd like to thank them. Preston, of course, because without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. We've grown a lot together.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I'd like to share some credit. But yeah, and then all the volunteers and organizers that put on the races that allow me to do the thing I love, which is race, and I really appreciate it. And all the fans too that are out there that support us, and little kids that ask for my autograph. I think it's awesome. I love seeing everyone's excitement, and it's great. So yeah, just that's who I'd like to thank.
Yeah, and as far as where to find us, so we do have our website, which is oddracing.com, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and Ian, it sounds like you came across our YouTube page as well, so pretty much we're on all the social medias under ODD Racing or Odd Racing sometimes, and now thanks to Cam and thanks to you guys for having us on, and like you said, all the organizers putting the stuff together. I've got a glimpse into it with Rally Colorado, and it's a lot of work, and so we understand and appreciate what goes into put the season together. We wouldn't be able to run 11 or 12 races that's on our calendar without all you guys putting it together. So that's huge.
Well, again, we'll see you at 100 Acre Wood, and look forward to maybe seeing you guys pulling out the cigars again.
every time, and the cigars. So those are not victory cigars, as a lot of people assume. They're Cam didn't kill me, so I'm able to smoke these cigars.
Nice.
I've only tried to kill him a couple times, and he gets all upset about it.
Yeah, I think we've written 3 cars off since we've been together, so yikes.
Only 3? That's not that bad.
Yeah, a car a year, it's fine.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no big deal. I always tell Ed, I get tired of last year's car, so I want a new one. I was like, the 2015 model isn't working anymore. I want the 16.
Well, guys, again, thanks for being on the show. Love seeing you guys out there. Love all the fun you guys have. Preston, especially for you making funny faces in the background of the camera every time. It's what makes Rally so much fun, is having you guys being a part of it. And look forward to seeing you out there at 100 Acre Wood.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, that about wraps up this episode. A couple of corrections from the last show. Apparently I got it wrong. Alex Gelsomino did have his helmet with him. Of course, he had it in his carry-on. I mean, it's Alex Gelsomino. He has a nice helmet. Who would leave that in checked baggage? Duh. I must have had it wrong when I was thinking of maybe somebody else that got stuff lost with all the travel mayhem that was going on with the wintry weather. Also of note, Kiana would have restarted on Friday of Sno Drift, except the sweep crew took their tracker, so that did not give them an option to at least get extra stage miles in. Remember, if we get something wrong, feel free to send us a note. We might not be a major news network, but we still try and be as accurate as possible here. So, anyways, remember, you can get our show on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Google Podcasts. See, I'm making up new words now. Or search your favorite podcast app. We're also on all the popular social media platforms, and if you're one of those people that use YouTube for everything, well, you can listen to us there too. Please subscribe, tell a friend, like and share, all that usual stuff. Who knows, maybe with enough of you subscribing and sharing, we'll get a sponsor or something. Anyway, I'm your host, Mike Shaw. Thanks for listening, Rally fans. Have a good day.